Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to be creating this poster right here, or something similar to it anyway. So this one's a relatively simple poster. All we're really going to be using today is the typography tool here, along with the gradient tool. That's probably about it. So if you want to go ahead and create a new file, so file new, and rename it to something, whatever you like. I'm just going to name mine Typography for now. And again, anything you want with the sizes, I'm going to leave mine at 800 by 800. I suggest you really do the same. It's just a nice size to use, I think. So go ahead and click OK. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filling this canvas in black. So if you go ahead and press D on your keyboard, D, and this resets the colours back to black and white, so whatever you've been using prior will just be reset. And go ahead and fill that. So we've got a nice black background here. So next step, we want to take the text tool, and I'm just going to go on Helvetica here. I'm just going to use that font, but really you can use any font you want with any style. And I'm just going to type a letter. So I'm going to type K. If I just highlight that and change it to white. There we go. I'm actually going to make that bigger. So I go 500, maybe. Yeah. So 500. Again, you can change that size depending on what font you're using. You just want it to look about similar size to this. You don't want to fill up the entire canvas, but then you don't want it to be too small either. And just off-center that slightly. Okay, like that. Now we need to lower this opacity because we don't want this to be in full view, we just want it to be barely visible. We're going to be using this as a template for our other text. So if we come back here, you can see here, this is just what I've done here is I've put text overlaying it onto a template, like so. Now this is quite time consuming, this part, so I suggest you put some time aside to get this part done. Lower the font size to about 10. And here you can write anything you like. You can write your name constantly and fill in the K or whatever letter you're using. For instance, if your name was Adam, you could use an A, or James is a J, or Katie is another K. Whatever you like, really. So go ahead and write anything you like. I'm going to kind of describe myself in this. So I like design, so I'm going to write design. And I'm going to put that over the K here, like so. And then what we're going to do on the next step is we're going to write something else. So I got a university, for example, so I'm going to write university. Now before we put that in, we're going to highlight it all, and we just want to change the style. So I'm going to change that to light, and then I'm also going to change the size. So I'm going to change that down to 8. So, and then we put that in it next to it, like so. Okay. And then we're going to do another one. So adventurous. And again, we change I'm going to change that to oblique, and we change the size again. I'm going to change that to 9. And then we put that, say for example, there. Now, you want to keep doing this until you fill the entire letter. You don't want to leave, preferably you don't want to leave any spaces at all, but you can leave a few. As you can see on this one, I've left a few spaces. But yeah, preferably you don't want to leave any at all. Now I'm going to jump ahead here because I don't really have the time to do it all over again, and it'll be pretty boring to sit there and watch me just adding text constantly over and over. So if you want to get that done, pause the video here, and I'll be back when you finish that. Okay, so you've unpaused the video, and here's the finished article. You've got all the text in, you've left as little spaces as possible. So if we come right down to the bottom, back to your template letter here, and you just hide that layer because we won't be needing that anymore, and then select the bottom text that you've wrote there, go right to the top, hold shift and click the top one, and that just selects everything for you. Now we need to go and merge these layers. So if we go layer, merge layers, and all that does is that puts everything onto one layer that we've just selected, so that we can control it greater. And we can do something which we're going to do now, and let's inject a bit of colour into this. So if you go ahead and create a new layer, so Command, Shift and N, and I'm just going to call this layer gradient. And hit Control and hold down on the paint bucket tool and select your gradient. Now if you go up the top here, you can see you've got a list of your gradient types. These are just the default gradients. I'm going to use violet to orange and hit OK. And make sure you've got linear selected here. And make sure your mode is obviously normal with 100%. And all you're going to do is you're going to go from top to bottom and just gradient that like that. We're going to leave it on normal here, and we're going to change the opacity down to about 77%. Now that in itself doesn't look very good, but if we hit say Command Shift and G, we group that layer, we put it on something called a layer mask. And all that does is that means, for instance, it affects the layer below it, so you can see the text that is below it, so it affects that. So if you unlayer it, as you see, like that, that affects everything, and that only affects the actual text here. I'm just going to lower that a bit more. Okay, there we go. Now, that in itself doesn't look very good, as you can see here. I've done a little bit more to it. But for instance, you can just say finish off your name. So Carl Sides is my name here, and change that to a different font maybe, like that. And you can do even subtext on that. But as you can see on this one, I've decided to add a little bit of lighting on this layer here, as you can see. So we're going to do that as well. I'll show you how to do that one here. So all I've done is I've done a new layer. Sorry, I'll make that text black. So we're going to do a new layer, and I'm just going to put lighting, and I'm going to hit the brush tool. And you're going to want to use a soft brush here. These are known as soft brushes. They've got like a soft edge. About 300 in size maybe. And all you need to do is brush once there, or wherever you want your light source to be coming from. I prefer around the text because it looks a lot better than just a random light posted anywhere. I'm going to hit that on soft light, and then I'm going to go filter, render, lighting effects, and I'm going to go say Omni, and that should hit just about where the actual soft brush was posted. So I'm going to hit OK. And that hasn't really done anything, so I'm going to do that on a new layer. So what we want to do now is we want to apply the image. So we've got image, apply image. So you can see here, it's just basically just copies everything you've got so far onto one layer. And we've got filter, render, lighting effects. And we've got greater control over this one. So go Omni effects, like so. And we can lower that opacity just to lower the effect of the light. You could do it a coloured light as well. So if you create a new layer again and you select say an orange, orange, quite a light one, and again there you go, and you go say lighten or even screen, anything that kind of brightens the image, and just lower the opacity down just so that it's not too strong, because obviously if 100% is too strong, you don't want that, so just lower it down like so. And that's really all there is to it. It's a really simple poster tool. Actually, I'm going to create a gradient map. So if you come down here and use gradient map, which is down the bottom, a nice simple way of just injecting a bit more colour is hitting the black to white, making sure it's actually black to white, not white to black, and then clicking back on your layers and just put that to luminosity, and that just makes it a bit more interest and a bit more depth again. Now, in terms of the actual text, you can do what you want with the text. You can leave it as it is, or you could go back and you could say put a drop shadow, and that would look quite nice. Really, it's all free reign. You can just mess about with the settings on everything and have it how you like. But that's all I really need to talk to you about today. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy designing.